to another video of Do You Believe? A lot of stuff to cover. One of these days I'm going to be able to get into scripture really good instead of what's happening today. It's crazy, it's insane. I think the world's gone mad. What's happened if the left, what would happen if the left is successful and they get a conviction against President Trump? There are millions of people that voted for Trump. He received more votes than any incumbent president ever received, a higher percentage of all ethnic groups than any sitting GOP president. And Biden comes along getting more votes than Obama. Is still a phenomenon that can't be explained. If Trump is convicted, though, he can still run for president. There's no law or rule against it. The requirements are that a person must be at least 35 years old, a natural-born citizen, and resident of the U.S. for at least 14 years. The Constitution doesn't say anything about a criminal record. Now, Trump wouldn't be the first one who ran with a felony conviction. One even ran and received 1 million votes and was in prison. The problem for the Democrats in this country is they will make him a martyr. And when that happens, it is unfortunately followed by public unrest, which we really don't want. Now, we know that President Trump told people to protest in a peaceful manner. That's on video. So their idea of coming up and using the 14th Amendment about him being involved in insurrection is not going to work. We know that he questioned the outcome of the 2020 election, and a lot of people did. It wasn't just him. It has been a practice of the Democrats to have standing by a set of electors in case the appeal of an election outcome is overturned through the court system. However, in this case, the courts wouldn't even hear the evidence. Why? And that's the question we should be asking. There are still many unanswered questions about the strange anomalies and occurrences on the night of the election in 2020 in at least 5 states. And again, in a few of those states, same ones in the 2024 election, or excuse me, the 2022 midterm election. Arizona, Michigan, Georgia, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Why is it always the same 5? Another question we should be asking. These strange anomalies and usually unusual occurrences have struck the very fiber of the election process to the point that it brings into question why the Democrats demanded drop boxes and so much use of mail-in ballots for the 2020 election and beyond. Using these methods only add to the questionable election results. Not to mention, people carrying votes many times to these drop boxes, the same people over and over again, one person as much as 50 times, and caught on video. Yet still, the court doesn't want to listen to any of that. Why? Using the excuse that minorities have a disadvantage when it comes to having the means to get an ID card or transportation to a polling place is not proven. It's rhetoric. Actually, most, if not all, states require a driver's license or a photo ID to do many things in the state. How would they know who you are? You could say you were anybody and they'd have to believe you. So Creating a voter ID would make voting more honest, ensuring only citizens and those eligible citizens could vote. Again, the left using minorities for the sole purpose of harvesting votes. They don't care about minorities. They use them. They are users. They are masters of vote harvesting and using the minorities in this country. And one of these days, the minorities are actually going to wake up and realize that's what's going on, that they're a tool to be used so that the Democrats can gain what they want to gain, and that's total control, one-party control, and that's all they want. They don't want two parties. They sure don't want three parties, but they don't want two parties. They want one, the Democratic Party. Sounds to me like communism. They even lie about the Jim Crow, blaming the Republican Party when it was the Democrats that brought about Jim Crow, and also the 3/5 rule of 1787, only allowing 3 out of 5 slaves to be counted as states towards total population, was a Democrat demand. During the 1964 Civil Rights Act voting, there were 253 House Democrats and only 178 Republicans. They were the majority. In fact, they had a supermajority. Only 68% of the Democrats voted to pass the Civil Rights Bill, H.R. 152, the amended version of the Senate. Not enough to pass, even though they held a majority. But 90% of the Republicans voted for it. If Republicans had not voted for it, it would not have passed. Yet the Democrats get credit because Lyndon Baines Johnson, in my opinion, one of the biggest racists we've ever had in the White House, signed it. Now, let's take a look at Jim Crow laws. Northern and western cities by no means integrated. This integration was de facto, not de jure. De facto means in fact or in effect, whether right or not. De jure means rightful entitlements are claimed by right. Jim Crow dates back to Reconstruction, and the Democratic president, Andrew Jackson, was not a Republican. But the Democratic Party doesn't want minorities to know their racist history, and conveniently turned the tables to make it appear that the GOP was behind all of the racism. As recently as 1960s, when George Wallace refused to integrate public schools, we find the Democrats hiding history once more. Even Robert Byrd, who served in Congress from 1952 to 2010, was a member of the KKK at one time. In fact, he formed a new chapter of the Klan in Sophia, West Virginia. In his 2005 book, this is his book now, he recalls how he recruited 150 of his friends to join the group, which impressed a top official of the Klan that said, "You have leadership skills, Bob. We need young men like you in this country." History of the Democrats as the leaders of racism in this country is undeniable. Yet they claim that was the old party, and the old Democratic Party actually changed places with the Republicans. Another lie. A bigger lie has never been told. The last real Democrat was JFK and RFK. And we all know what happened to them. They wanted to bring about the end to racism. Until Americans decide to think for themselves and not believe what they're told to believe and do their own research, things will never change. I mean, people can tell you, well, this is what you need to believe. That's what the mediaites do. Every day you turn on NBC, CBS, ABC, Facebook, CNN, any of the MSNBC, they say, you're going to believe what we tell you to believe because this is what you're supposed to believe. You're supposed to believe what we tell you. Well, I don't. The left in this country is all about globalization and one world government, a new world order. What happened to the 7 points of light in the shining city on the hill? A place where you will own nothing and be happy, we're told. A place where you will live where and how we tell you. Think, what would a party stop? Why would a party stop producing oil and natural gas production in a country where we're rich and plentiful in those resources? Instead, buying it from countries that hate us and sending all our productivity to China and elsewhere. In crises, we are vulnerable, just like we were during COVID. And where did that start? This outsourcing has been going on a large scale since the Clinton administration. Most of our medicines and products are now produced overseas, primarily in China. One last thing. I could write a book. The border. Think, why would a country open its borders to who knows who is crossing over, and with what? Drugs, weapons, sex trafficking, and who's crossing? Terrorists, Chinese spies, escaping criminals. There's always a reason for what the left are up to. And I think it's time to expose it. The reason for charges made against Trump, now think about the charges made against Trump, is as plain as a nose on your face. They have been after him since the 2015 announcement that he was running. He was loved by African American leadership and received awards from them. But as soon as he declared he was running, he was a racist. They have weaponized the courts and the DOJ to keep him from campaigning and to try and keep him distracted. Yet the more they come against him, the higher his numbers go. Imagine that. People are waking up. Since the war began, the Biden administration and the U.S. Congress has directed more than $75 billion in assistance to Ukraine, and then have a hard time wanting to come up with $12 billion to help those people in Maui, Hawaii. Why is that? And what really happened there? The truth will come out, and I think it's going to be ugly. Now they're looking for another $20 billion. We are sending equipment and ammunition or taking away from our own military, leaving us somewhat vulnerable. Just like he did with the oil reserves. Still hasn't replenished them and may take years to replenish them. But this is the insanity of the Biden administration. There is more here than meets the eye about Ukraine ties to the Biden family. Time will tell. Truth always comes out. And now, they're after Tucker. Tucker Carlson is now in their sights. They want to take him out. How? I don't know. But I was listening to Dan Bongino, and Dan usually has pretty good insight. Now, if they go after Tucker, the American people will not tolerate it. You know, during World War II, when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, the admiral on that ship said, I think what we've done was no more than wake a sleeping giant. Well, I got a feeling that's what the Democrats are doing, and these leftists who are globalists and want a one world government and one world order. They're pushing a stick at a bear, and when that bear wakes up, they're not going to like what they see. This is a dangerous time in our country, and we need to come to grips with reality and realize exactly what's going on, and not sit back and take the word of those who are behind what's going on, or at least involved in it, and do what they tell us we're supposed to do and believe what they tell us we're supposed to believe, when every time their lips are moving, a lie's coming out. Folks, we need to pray for this country. We need to pray for President Trump. We need to ask God for direct intervention, which I believe he is. And I believe a shaking is coming, and it's coming quicker than we think it's going to come. Watch for September. I'm not giving dates. I'm just saying watch as we enter a time of the fall feast of the Jewish people. It's God's feast that He gave them. The Feast of Trumpets, Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, and Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacle. Many believe that the Feast of Trumpets, which starts on the 15th of September at sundown, is the rapture of the church. A lot of people believe that the Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, is the day that Jesus actually returns and stands on the Mount of Olives. And that the Sukkot, or the Feast of Tabernacle, is the 1,000-year millennial reign of Christ. Now, I'm not saying it is, but I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying I give it a lot of thought. I believe that the first 4 feasts in the spring we know was fulfilled by Jesus, Yeshua, which is His name, and the last 3 feasts will be fulfilled by Him also. So, until next time, stay in prayer, keep your chin up. God is always with us. Amen.